to the bathroom staff. The next item on the agenda is the welcome address by the President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. A great woman, a woman that I've seen it all, a good and a great boardroom player, a woman that has touched so much life and that has imparted the industry, Mrs. Toki Mabogunje, for our welcome address. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good morning to all. Mr. Olabode Ogunlana, Doyen of Insurance, Right Honorable Darlington Wokocha, Chairman, House Committee on Insurance and Actuarial Matters, the Federal House of Representatives, Mr. Sunday Thomas, our Commissioner for Insurance, NICOM, Ms. Tola Adegbayi, ED, Leadway Insurance PLC, Mr. Prosper Okwe, Vice Chairman, CEO, IBN, Mr. Reginald Egbuniwe, President, Institute of Loss Adjusters of Nigeria, Ashiwaju Dr. Michael Olawale Cole, Deputy President, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Remy Alo, Honorary Life Vice President of the LCCI, Dr. Muda Yusuf, Director General, LCCI, Mr. Gboyega Olambiwoninu, Chairman, Insurance Group of the LCCI, other council members of the LCCI here present, other presidents of various councils that are here are present as well, gentlemen and ladies of the press, CEOs and EDs of insurance companies, insurance brokers and loss adjusters, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to welcome our esteemed guests to this year's edition of the Stakeholders Forum for the Insurance Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Let me specially appreciate the Commissioner for Insurance, Mr. Sunday Thomas, and the Doyen of the insurance industry, Olabode Ogunlana, for honoring our invitation to this forum. The theme of this forum, Insurance Today and Future, resonates perfectly with the rapidly changing domestic and global economic landscape. The economy is not static. Therefore, the practice of insurance cannot afford to be stagnant. Already, the Nigerian insurance industry, has a lot of catching up to do. The insurance sector has not shared in the growth experienced by other segments of the financial services sector, such as pension funds, mutual funds, fintech, and banks in the last decade or more. The insurance industry has hardly grown in real terms in the last 10 years due to major headwinds affecting players, including the economic slowdown, regulatory uncertainties, the unwillingness of people to purchase policies, as well as cultural and religious dispositions, amongst others. The data from the National Bureau of Statistics indicates that the contribution of the insurance sector to the nation's GDP was less than 1% in 2019. Compared to other African countries such as South Africa and Kenya, where the insurance industry contributes more than 2% to their economic output. Furthermore, insurance penetration rate in Nigeria is extremely low at 0.3% in 2019, according to the Global Insurance Market Report. And this compares quite poorly with Ghana, with an insurance penetration rate of 1%, 2% in Kenya, and 17% in South Africa. Additionally, according to the data on the Africa insurance market published by Sigma, Nigeria's total premium volume stood at $1.2 billion in 2018, equivalent to a continental market share of 1.8%. This is relatively low compared to Kenya and South Africa, with premiums of $2.1 billion and $48.3 billion respectively, and a continental market share of 3.1% and 70.6%. A report on the Nigerian insurance industry, which is titled From Lagoon to the Ocean, published by Coronation Merchant Bank, maintained that Nigeria's insurance sector will have to grow by a factor of 10 times in real terms in the next 8 to 10 years to be able to catch up with peers in industries with similar GDP per capita. All of these underscores the need to reset the industry for rapid transformation and growth. I am optimistic that the outcome of our deliberations today would provide yet another rich and robust content that would be useful in propelling the desired growth of this sector. Once again, on behalf of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, I welcome you to this Stakeholders Forum, and I thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. We sincerely appreciate your welcome address. The key points are noted for further discussions. We sincerely appreciate you. On this basis, we invite the chairman of the insurance group of the Lagos Chamber, Mr. Boyega Olambinwaninu, for his opening speech. Thank you. Mr. Boyega Olambinwaninu, you have the floor, please.
Morning, all. Permit me to stand on existing protocol. I'm most delighted to welcome all participants to this important forum for the discussion of issues bordering on the growth of the Nigerian insurance industry by the Insurance Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, for which I'm privileged to be the chairman. You would all recall about a year ago that this group also created a similar platform in line with its mandate to continually enhance the knowledge of members of the insurance industry and create an environment of engagement with other critical stakeholders in the nation's economy. Permit me to note that this year's program had to be via this platform, which has become the new normal in view of COVID-19. However, it is most heartwarming that participants numbering over 700 enthusiastically registered online for this webinar, underscoring their desires for more knowledge, as well as expression of the confidence they have in the LCCI and the seasoned resource persons who have been slated to do justice to this subject matter on hand. I most particularly appreciate the Commissioner for Insurance, Mr. Sunday Thomas, for agreeing to address us personally at this webinar, in spite of his busy schedule. We're also most delightful to have the rare honor of the esteemed presence of our father, the doyen of the insurance industry in Nigeria, and the chairman of SKIP, my chairman, Olola Olabode Ogunlana, on this webinar. Having spent over 6 decades in the industry and the profession, Olola Ogunlana's view later we had a unique dimension and perspective to this historical background of the industry, underscoring his popular philosophical statements on the Trinity of Time, which he often referred to as the past, the present, and the future. Of course, I cannot miss to appreciate the support of the President of the LCCI, the indefatigable Mrs. Toki Mabogunje, the DG, Mr. Muda Yusuf, and the living legends of the LCCI Insurance Group, Dr. Emian Law and Dr. Olawale Ko. Your combined effort have made this event a reality. And what a combination of intellectuals at the core, at the fore of the chamber. No wonder we are the foremost commerce and industry in West Africa. Well, I'm also considering acquiring my doctorate degree, so I can also be called Dr. Boyega. I would also like to appreciate Mr. Shola Tinubu, the MD CEO of SKIP, a professional at the core, and another indefatigable leader in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, it is quite auspicious. We shall be focusing on the theme insurance today and the future. There is definitely no better time to address the issue than now, especially in the light of the economic changes occasioned by the pandemic, which has created the need for paradigm shifts necessitating business reengineering, remodeling, and rediscovery. It makes little news anymore that our industry, in spite of its stringent effort being made by the regulator and industry stakeholders, still lags behind in the financial service sector, contributing less than 1% to the nation's GDP. This is definitely unacceptable. Without trying to preempt the delivery of our erudite speakers, I think we should be able to interrogate some of the reasons why we are where we are today, and now we should change the trajectory by re-examining our operations and imbibing modern and rapidly changing technology and forging closer inter and intra-industry relationships for the purpose of knowledge sharing. We must, as an industry, take advantage of global direction towards knowledge-based economy, which warrants that services, including insurance, are delivered with speed and without losing the content of ethics and integrity, which are the hallmarks of our great profession and industry. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for coming and wishing you all a rewarding talk show. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bega Olambimwaninu, the Chairman, Insurance Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. You're very right. Your group has done so well in choosing this theme, the insurance today and the future. And there's no way we can have today without having the past. There is no way we can have the future without having today. And when we are lucky to have the past we have today, and we're planning for the future, we must talk about the history of the past, talk about the sustainability of today, and talk about the plans for tomorrow. We have a great man of honor, our special guest of honor, the doyen of the industry. Like I said, the man that have great passion for youth. Without the youth, there can never be a future. For him to build the future together with the industry, he created this passion. The chairman, Skip Insurance Brokers Limited, our father, Olola Olabode Ogunlana, for his keynote address. You have the floor, sir. Thank you so much.
Madam President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to stand on the existing protocols. I appreciate your invitation as a special guest of honor for this year's Insurance Stakeholders Consultative Forum. No doubt the reason for according me this singular honor is because I am the doyen of insurance in Nigeria. I had always enjoyed participating in the Chamber's activities, as the Chamber had for long been the champion of the private sector in the Nigerian economy. Also, I value highly your special interest in the insurance industry, which is an important arm of the financial sector. Your stance is understandable, as insurance is a handmaid of commerce. To the uninformed, there are many in Nigeria. Insurance in their ignorance is simply about collecting premiums and not paying claims. This, as you know, is a myopic view. The rules of insurance in a developing economy like Nigeria are to protect and conserve the wealth of the nation, as well as to assist in generating more wealth to accelerate the pace of progress. The theme of this short address is R38. R38. When I commenced formal education at St. Paul's Breakfast School, Lagos, in mid-January 1938, the first rhyme I learned was good, better, best. May I never rest until my good is better and my better best. The rhyme, which had since then stuck in my memory, became my focus for life. The rhyme is hereinafter referred to as R8. When I started work as a junior civil servant in January 1951, at the age of 17 and a half, my initial salary per month was £7. When I passed the senior Cambridge school certificate, I earned an extra 17 shillings and sixpence. It was a handsome pay, with meaningful purchasing power. R38 continued to ring in my ears. In March 1952, I discovered that I was not cut out for a civil service job because of the constraints of the general orders and financial instructions. The GOs and the FIs seemed to me at variance with R38. I therefore took employment at the Royal Exchange, REA, in April 1952, with a handsome salary of £12.5 plus overtime pay and the right to commission on business obtained by me. My first pay packet at REA was £39. I thought this was in consonance with R38. On my very first day at REA, I was amazed to see a long queue in front of 31 Marina, which extended to Peterson Sokonis at the junction of Marina with Kakawa Street. When I asked what the long line was all about, I was told that those on the queue were proposers anxious to obtain cover notes for third-party act motor insurance. This was because government had then enforced a law which had been passed 3 years before then. At the time in question, other classes of insurance, though not as well known, were highly in demand. Goods in transit and marine cargo insurance for Nigeria's abundant produce, cocoa, groundnut, rubber, timber logs, palm oil, palm kernels, cola nuts, ginger, coffee, hides and skins, etc. Life assurance had then started to rear its head. All forms of life cover became available. Life endowment, which was then the favored security for building loans, education endowment, as well as industrial life assurance for burial expenses and to boost the capital base for small traders. It was always a joy to watch the collectors. The name for this clan of life agents in shoulder bags with their notebooks and at the markets and other places. Employers' liability and workmen's compensation policies had also then gathered momentum. To assist the efforts of the insurance companies, there were the Accident Insurance Association, the Fire Officers Committee, Life Officers Association, and the umbrella body, Nigerian Insurance Consultative Committee, the forerunner of the Nigerian Insurance Association. With the exception of the NICC, meetings of these committees took place after office hours. Insurers, fee insurance brokers, and agents were friendly collaborators. It was a united but dynamic market. As a result of the foregoing, the banks revolved around insurance companies. The then smaller and newer banks were led by Bank of British West Africa and Barclays Bank DCO. Both companies were agents to REA. This was due to the vast financial resources of insurers. I should not forget to mention that I again had another spell with the public sector. I served as Chief Executive of Great Nigeria Insurance Company Limited. Members of the board representing the interests of the whole western region of Nigeria were appointed by positions held by them in the service. The chairman was the chief government statistician. Other members were the accountant general, the auditor general, secretaries to the Western Nigeria Finance Corporation and the Western Nigeria Production Development Board, respectively. Although they were all civil servants, they understood and respected the ethos of the business world, which enabled Great Nigeria Insurance to take prodigious strides. The actions and the results obtained accorded the spirit of R38. I then moved on to the National Insurance Corporation of Nigeria, first as consultant to the supervising ministry, that was the Ministry of Trade, and later as managing director. Unlike a GNI, I could only have the term of my 5 years contract, as my board there were public servants, politicians and bureaucrats who did not share the ideal for which R38 stood for. In the last few years, I had nothing but complaints from the insurance industry. Among others were encroachment into insurance business by banks, excision by governments of parts of the insurance industry business, low contribution of insurance towards the GDP, failure of government to implement compulsory insurance and Local Contents Act, insuring oil and gas risks, and others. As I say it, these are extraneous issues over which we have not much control. Some of these should be ignored. The contribution of insurance towards the GDP lies squarely in the hands of all the players of the industry, competing professionally and dynamically, not to the detriment of the entire industry. The aim of a good manager is to utilize available resources with zest, timely, with right priorities to obtain maximum results possible. This is in accord with R38. To this end, the insurance industry of year 2021 and beyond should adopt R38. The industry of the future must be one that is squarely focused on the life issues, challenges, and problems of both individual and corporates. Let us be part of the solutions to these life issues. Those that come with solutions are always valued over and above those that have no solutions or create problems or take people or the country back. The industry must engage, listen, understand, and come up with practical, affordable solutions. Create awareness, educate, and most importantly, bend over backwards to always and continuously pay claims promptly and fairly. The The proof of the pudding is in the eating. Insurance is only consumed when there is claim. Let the insurance industry, particularly its leaders across the various subsectors, take all that was good from the past, add to it sound innovations, ability to confront head-on all identified problems and challenges, to make a better present and thus lay a robust foundation for the emergence of a future which cannot but ensure the best results. Let me end this address by rendering a song of unity, composed by Dr. M. Omolayole, my predecessor in office as chairman of the past president of the Nigerian Institute of Management. We are better, we are better, we are better together. We are bigger, we are bigger, we are bigger together. We are stronger, we are stronger, we are stronger together. We are safer, we are safer, we are safer together. We are abler, we are abler, we are abler together. We are fuller, we are fuller, we are fuller together. We are richer, we are richer, we are richer together. We are greater, we are greater, we are greater together. I thank you all for your patience in listening to me. And may God, Nigeria, continue to bless this country, which has been predestined to be great. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Olabode Ogunlano, the doyen of the insurance industry. We see history lane for us to learn. Please, with a round of ovations, can we appreciate the doyen of the insurance industry, a man of integrity, a man of honor, a man that continues to make himself available to us. Let us appreciate him. Let us appreciate him. Sincerely appreciate you, sir. May God continue to. For us to continue on this great program, we have in our midst a man with a larger heart, a man that has opened the door of his office for the insurance industry to access, a man that is so eager to make great impacts and leave a great legacy in the insurance industry, a man of honor, a man that has seen it all politically, a man that is so desired to always be present for us. In the insurance industry, we give honor to who honor is due. We were trained to appreciate those that have touched our industry. I sincerely want to apologize first for not recognizing you at the time I was supposed to recognize you. But for everything in life, there is always a point in time. I sincerely want to appreciate and welcome the guest of honor for the day, the Chairman Insurance Committee of the National Assembly, House of Representatives, Right Honorable Dalinti Nwokocha. Right Honorable, the Chairman, you have the floor, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, the anchorman. I want to sincerely thank.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, I want to sincerely thank the organizers of this program, most especially the President, LCCI, the Chairman, and my very good brother and friend, the commissioner, who both of us are watching the entire insurance industry, the board, and watching the entire system at the same time and see how it will go well. I want to thank all the stakeholders and all the participants for featuring prominently in this August gathering. I'm speaking with a warm greeting from the National Assembly, from the Green Chamber, most especially, and the committee in general, the House of Representatives Committee on Insurance and Actuarial Matters. They've extended their warm greeting to each and every one of you. There's a saying that goes that he can who feels he can. And from what I'm seeing today, that the social and the economic development globally has not posed any encumbrance of any kind to this kind of gathering, rather that the advanced media communication platform has been put in place to bring all of us together despite distance differences. That alone is to show that if we look forward, that we can still move insurance industry beyond where it is. The caption of today's event, which is Insurance Today and Tomorrow. Sincerely, it is quite awesome. It is quite nice to have such caption. I am coming from the point of the legislature, and I think I have one or two things to say, because I'm watching the entire platform of the insurance from a different flank, where we oversight the entire insurance platform to see how it was yesterday, how it is today, and in anticipation of how it's going to be tomorrow. Then, my committee has said that I should send a goodwill message, but the goodwill message is anchored on to say that we have proffered some legislative instrumentalities to see how we can drive and support the insurance industry to the highest heights. And as is oversight properly, to look at the background laws and to look at the acts, what we have already, and to see how we can advance it properly. First and foremost, I want to say at the present, there are one or two things that I think that this gathering of a kind should afford us the opportunity to look at, maybe, and see how we can make one or two changes as concerns the present, so as to have a very warm future. One is insurance education. We are trying to see how the amendment will capture a very firm insurance education, where at the end of the day, from the nursery, primary, secondary to tertiary level, will understand what insurance is all about and imbibe the culture fully. Secondly, the public confidence, which means the present law itself. We have an existing law, though there are certain elements that are outdated, but how do we comply with the ones that stand the test of time to make sure that we have our clients and the public confidence as far as insurance industry is concerned? We are looking at using the legislative instrumentality to still drive and see how we can have unity of purpose and direction in the insurance industry of today, because there are so many anomalies, there are so many things we've observed that's not in tune and in line with what the best international practice is. We're looking at the outdated insurance law and act and compliance to the existing law, which we have tried our best possible as I speak. The amendment of the insurance law and the NICOM Act has gone the first reading, and by the special grace of God, we want to see how all the stakeholders will come on board for us to drive the process and see how the second reading and subsequent ones will move forward. But as for future, yes, the modern updated constitution and adoption of insurance international best practice is key. But we cannot do these things without having proper education. Most people do not understand what insurance is all about. Most people do not understand their left from their right. While the entire economy is supposed to revolve around the insurance industry, the reverse is the case. The insurance industry keep trying to move to see how they can, as if they are being just gasping for air, while it's not supposed to be so. But we are seeing what we can do from the legislative arm, which I have the full support of the House, and by the special grace of God, the commissioner is ready and willing, and he's working hard to making sure that we achieve that end. Then the thing is, how do we drive a congruent position where all the stakeholders will come together? They will not see the legislature as it's only for oversight, it's only to investigate us or this and that. Rather, for us to drive a process where we understand and fuse firmly to making sure that Nigeria will be a better place to survive in the insurance industry. Then, having said that, setting up of insurance tribunal is another thing, because there are certain laws that is not justiciable in the insurance industry today. We must fashion a way that when there are people that maybe one infraction or the other is being committed, it will not take a whole lot of time and discourage either all participants of any side, from any side, in achieving whatever aim addressing their cases and issues. Having said that, I want to say there is a paramount factor and there's a paramount interest the legislature has, and that is making sure that the entire economy of Nigeria, all sectors of the economy, revolves around the insurance industry. And we want to do that, and we want to achieve that through the legislative instrumentality. And by the grace of God, we are working hard, because with the support of the leadership of the House, with the support of the leadership of the committee, we are working hard in making sure that we achieve the best so that the entire economy will revolve around the insurance industry. I want to thank all of you. I want to say that this is the way to go. As far as there is no encumbrance in distance to this meeting today, there can never be an encumbrance, either economic or social, other social factors, to the insurance development of this country. I want to thank you, and God bless you all as this gathering continues.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Darlington Nwokocha. We sincerely appreciate you for your time. We appreciate the reassurance of the economy being all-round insurance. With this reassurance, we believe the issue, the challenges of low penetration can be achieved. We have heard from you, we have heard from the legislative arms, we have heard from the history. It is time to hear from the man, a great man, a man that leads us all, our number one citizen in the insurance industry, a seasoned administrator, a father to all, a man with a great heart of desire to continue to impact us, a man that has given so much cushion and peace of mind to the insurance industry. Our dear Commissioner for Insurance, Mr. Sunday Thomas, you have the floor, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, the anchorman. Please, can you confirm whether the screen is on?
Is on, sir.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
The screen is on.
It's on.
Thank you very much. The President and Chairperson in Council of the Lagos Chambers of Commerce, Mrs. Toki Mabugunje, the Doyen of Insurance, our father, Olola Olabode Ogunlano, my chairman and chairman House Committee on Insurance and Actuarial Matters, a friend indeed, Right Honorable Darlington Nwokocha, the chairman of the Insurance Group of the Lagos Chambers of Commerce, my colleagues, both at the regulatory set and also in the industry. I mean the chief executives, representatives of the management, also the Director General. Last year on this platform, my presentation dealt with history of insurance industry performance, emerging trends, stakeholders' expectations, NICOM expectations, and NICOM strategies. This year, I will deviate slightly on the aforesaid because the gap is no longer in the difference between today and the future, but rather in the difference between the future of today and yesterday. The Nigerian economy has witnessed an unprecedented downturn. Just like the rest of the world is grabbing for resuscitation of business activities. Economic reconstruction has been the survival strategy, with the question of how rather than when. Economic helpers have become helpless, thereby watering down the acclaimed strength of globalization. Now every economy looks for internal survival strategies. We know what is happening in what used to be the big economies. Government revenue has unassumably declined, and vulnerability of more economies to debt is now imminent. Policies are now calibrated in an attempt to react to the effects of COVID-19 pandemic. First quarter of this year was a period of trilemma of the nation. First, a negative growth in first quarter. Second, high level of inflation. And thirdly, foreign exchange instability. There's also the declination in Nigeria's trade balance, and many other indices has left us with no choice but to be more circumspect and practical in the chart for economic sustainability. The NBS, Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, released a household survey of poverty in Nigeria, a 5-year study which showed that over 40% of Nigerian households earn less than 137,000 per annum. I even believe it's less than that. Population growth rate outmatches the growth of the economy. Nigerian external debt increased from $10.72 billion in December 2015 to $27.68 billion in December 2019, a growth of about 158.21%. Nigerian trade balance declined from 5.37 trillion naira in 2018 to 2.23 trillion in 2019. Given various indices, including COVID-19, the NBS projects that economic growth could fall by as much as minus 4.4% to minus 8.91%, depending on the length of the lockdown period and the potency of the economic plans put in place. I guess I'm still on. I want to confirm.
Yes, you are. You are.
Hello, please, am I still on?
You are still on, sir. You are still on.
All right, sir. We are still looking at the Nigerian economy. The monetary policy rate, MPR, was kept at 13.5% and cash reserve ratio at 27.5%. Total debt shock as at December 2019 was 27 trillion. Our concern is therefore hinged on vulnerability of economies to emerging realities, which will consequentially suggest reactive adjustments to policies, strategies, and economic interventions. Therefore, if any entities today is not beginning Therefore, if any entities today is not the beginning of its desired future, if any entity is not today, not at the beginning of its desired future, then such entity futures remains a mirage. The insurance sector is just a piece in the puzzle, as such, not insulated from its internal and external environments. Though the insurance subsector grew by 2.94% in Q1 2020, compared to 2.58% in Q1 2019, the impact of the external environments and the indices has characterized the economy are factors not negligible. Now, I want us, in continuation of looking at the state of the economy and the insurance sector, notwithstanding the causality analysis between economy and insurance, the sector is yet to get to its growth stage, let alone the saturated point, despite its consideration as a sector with huge potential for growth and returns on investments. It is on the strength of these points that we must reposition the industry as a key driver of economy for its sustainability and growth. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the obsolescence of yesterday. How obsolete is this yesterday? Our yesterday's approach to product development, distribution, channels, and management of customers' expectations is considered an old order and requires a paradigm shift. We have hitherto focused more on selling what we produce rather than producing what we can sell. The use of traditional distribution channels now requires complementary alternative channels if we must achieve spread and wider coverage. Also, there are macro trends and emerging risks that compete for the priority of the insurance industry and also impose more responsibilities. Today, we have with us cyber risk. The risk was not dominant in our yesterday world, but has become a major risk and of major concern. Insurance should be there to provide the necessary cover that will elevate the risk associated with cyber risks. The automation of business processes have changed. There has been a shift from the usual landscape of processing information and data to the use of technology to enhance processes, which exposes users to more sophisticated software, machinery, and equipment. We have the artificial intelligence, whereas it is the age where we are in. It will, however, expose the insurance industry to increased susceptibility to the biases of algorithms. There are health interrupters. There is change in health patterns. We have noticed tremendous changes in health patterns of Nigerians, and this is attributable to many factors: eating habits, change in lifestyle, increased fatality of infectious diseases, increased level of stress, sleep deprivation, and abuse of drugs. Most of these were not part of our yesterday. We also have the COVID-19 pandemic. Life and health insurance business lines are exposed to mortality and morbidity exposures, and there are demands for pandemic riders on policies. If we will remind ourselves, the issue of business interruption became critical in some jurisdictions at the inception of the pandemic. As pointed out earlier, if at this point we are able to separate the future from today, then failure is imminent. What I mean is that if we, at this point, we are separating our future from today, it will not enable us prepare for what the future will look like. We are looking at the future of today. The future may have been detached from what we did yesterday. Nonetheless, it remains connected to what we do today. Today, may not necessarily be a discontinuance of yesterday, but instructively a new beginning. As the Commissioner for Insurance, we have started today to mean the beginning of the desired future for the industry, guided by our yesterday. What we are saying is that yesterday is not totally irrelevant, but what is important for us is what we do today in preparation for our future. I therefore advise we think alike as captains of our entities. What we want to look at, largely, we want to start at manpower and innovation. We know that insurance is a knowledge-driven sector. We are in a continent positioned to witness high level of economic concentration following the potentials inherent in its natural resources, its growing population, and other favorable indicators. It is, however, complementary that maximum utilization of the potential will be hinged on human capital development. The world has over the years looked at Nigeria and its potential in resources and other things that could enhance growth. But what seems to be lacking is the place of manpower. And knowledge is the baseline required for the shift desirable in positive direction. And knowledge is very important and cannot be overemphasized. We must therefore graduate our knowledge of insurance, the market, and the economy to intelligence. It is said that knowledgeable people know things, while intelligent people know how to interpret, analyze, and apply things. Today, we must ask the right questions that addresses financial, emotional, artificial, spiritual, interpersonal, and even intrapersonal intelligences. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we do not want to know the dots, but we want to be able to connect the dots through intelligences. The future, partially defined by so many as a new normal or next normal, requires creativity and innovation, which comes from how much we can apply rather than how much we know. In my next few slides, I will make attempts to highlight few things the Commission is doing today that clearly indicates the beginning of the future. Insurance first. Here is the time wherein insurance will attain its rightful position in our economy. Many thanks to the collective support of all players in the insurance industry for the response to the call for financial support towards the federal government of Nigeria's tackling of COVID-19 pandemic. We want to talk about the presidential acknowledgement. Some people will wonder why we have to repeat this over and over again. This is something that has not happened for as far back as I can remember. We are grateful to His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, for the acknowledgement of the role of the insurance in the economy. This is the first of its kind, and we hope to see more as the industry continues to be the backbone of the economy. Presidential ratification into African Trade Insurance, ATI. ATI is a multilateral political and credit risk insurer established by international treaty and by African member states with World Bank technical and financial support. It was established to support trade and investment in African member states through offering of political risk and export credit guarantee insurance. The political risk insurance ATI offers will cover a wide range of business ventures, including financial institutions, importers, exporters, actors, investors, and others. It is worthy to state that the Commission has over the years facilitated the subscription of Nigeria to the ATI, which we all know, amongst others, we allow Nigeria benefit from trade credit and investment insurance products through provision of cover for expropriation, currency inconvertibility, sovereign and sub-sovereign obligor risks, as well as various types of credit risk insurance. Where the subscriptions are approved by the Federal Executive Council is fully deployed, it is capable of supporting up to $625 million of trade and investment, with an overall transaction value in excess of $1 billion. The Commission is in an ongoing discussion on improving the subscriptions of Nigeria in ATI in order to ensure, amongst other things, that trade insurance underwriting increases in Nigeria, coverage of political and credit insurance increases, provision of added capacity to the insurance sector through treaties and facultative reinsurance. Also, such that it will enhance investors' confidence in Nigeria, thereby increasing foreign direct investments. Now, looking at migration to technological-based supervision, we are looking at the future of today. The Commission last week unveiled the newly developed portal that will serve as the interface with the industry. This has been on the agenda for a long time, but about a month ago, we were able to make this a reality. The migration will reduce human interface. It will eliminate hard copy submission and renditions. Automation of business processes will be enhanced. Also, applicants will now get real-time updates on the status of their applications and track statuses on respective portal. You don't need to leave your office to track processes of submitted applications. We are looking at the future of today. External stakeholders and academic researchers will now have access to comprehensive and harmonized insurance industry data. By reason of the fact that we don't have data, a lot of benefits have eluded the industry. I remember some years ago, we were working on mortality table for our industry. This was stopped because of lack of data. But with the coming on of our portal, we will be able to harness enough data that will enable us to do analysis of our environment and right pricing. Of course, information technology guidelines for the industry will soon be exposed to the market for their contributions. In a few years from now, there will be increased reporting on insurance activities in Nigeria. Just like we have sections for capital markets on our daily news, we are also preparing to see that we have insurance being reported on our media. Of course, the development of markets is part of our preparation for the future. One of the goals of the Commission is an optimal insurance market development. This we consider very imperative to accommodate the character of risk the industry is now exposed to. One of the platforms for development of this market is through strategic collaboration. Our ongoing collaborations are, but not limited to, the following. We had a recent discussion with Shippers Council in our efforts to bridge the gap that has existed in our marine insurance market space. Similarly, we met with the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board. We realized that there are a lot of leakages through the IOCs, NOCs, and other oil servicing companies. The engagement was to plug this hole and see how we can enhance the insurance relevance to these risks. state governments. Arrangement is being made to meet the governors forum. I'm sorry, I know that we are short of time, so I'm trying to just abridge this presentation. We also, market development, part of our market development as identified, the Commission heightened enlightenment. Our enlightenment and awareness program will soon commence. Some have started at some levels. We have concluded plans to develop groupings for these enlightenment programs across the media. We also expect the underwriters will invest in artificial intelligence that will advertise products to potential customers based on their surfing and interest online. I quickly touch on capacity building. I've earlier emphasized the correlation between knowledge, intelligence, and creativity. We also learned that what is needed for today is a step above knowledge. Hence, the Commission is mindful of human capital development of the insurance market. The Chartered Insurance Institute is encouraged to maintain the required consistency in the review of its curriculum in order to address emerging risks. This I mentioned to the president of the CIN when they visited us yesterday. The Commission adopted a stopgap strategy to bridge the gap attributable to deaths of qualified actuaries in the insurance industry. The Commission is in alignment with its insurance education developmental function in facilitating sponsorship program for staff of insurance institutions in Nigeria who are interested in becoming certified actuarial analysts and eventually become qualified actuaries. As a statement of our commitment to both external and internal customers' capacity development, the Commission is in discussion with bodies that will facilitate the inclusion of insurance industry officers handling special risk on technical capacity training. We're engaging so many institutions for this because we know the knowledge that we acquire today is going to drive, the understanding we have today is going to drive the future of the industry. Recently, the Commission concluded a 6-week intensive online trainings of its newly employed staff who will be the future of insurance regulation in Nigeria. I will talk briefly on our initiative for NICOM Academy. We have reached an appreciable progress in having a well-equipped academy that will provide manpower capacity development for NICOM staff and other peer regulators across the West African coast and may even extend to the other African countries. Regulatory sandbox. The present product approval process, which may not be sustainable due to emerging trends, is being enhanced by regulatory sandbox. We understand the need to encourage innovations that may not have been contemplated by extant guidelines. Therefore, the Commission has just concluded a draft framework for insurance regulatory sandbox operations in Nigeria. This will soon be exposed to the market. I made the commitment after the confirmation of my appointment, nothing will be done under the table. Everything will be put on top of the table for comments. And we believe that we collectively can build a future for our industry. The sandbox afford the opportunity to test business models, products, and services that will enhance efficiency in meeting consumers' needs in a less regulated environment. This will also encourage innovation and promote delivery of economic benefits. The draft framework will be exposed to the market very soon. Why I'm concluding my presentation, ladies and gentlemen, why the Commission strive to create the platform for growth? The development of the insurance industry will employ all shareholders to, amongst other things, maximize the opportunities inherent in the new change, shift in risk landscapes, and disconstruction of the economy. These are the new changes that we are experiencing. Entities are encouraged to visit and consider adjustment of strategies in order to accommodate emerging realities. Investment in technology and manpower development is no longer a choice, but a must. Consistently check and ensure that the future of the entity is not separated from what and how you conduct business activities today. Encourage intelligent innovations. Ladies and gentlemen, these are my few ideas that I'm putting on the table for possible discussion.
Thank you very much, our dear Commissioner. We sincerely appreciate you. We thank you for charting a way forward for the future of our great industry. It's been a great time having you here, and we're still pleased with you to still stay by, even though we know how busy you are. We would like to seek the indulgence of all the members of this platform, all participants, the Commissioner for Insurance, our Honorable, Right Honorable, the Chairman of the Committee, the doyen of the industry, the CEOs, and for an extension of time of this program. The program is slated for 11 to 1 p.m. But due to technical issues, we're requesting that we have an extension of a maximum of 15 to 20 minutes. And I can assure you that we will not take any further of your time than this. While we go to the panelists, I would like the backroom team to allow Chief Prosper to be able to share his slides and have access to the screen. The first panelist is Chief Prosper Okwe. Chief Prosper Okwe has over 40 years experience in risk and insurance broking. Until 2014, he was the country and regional head of FASH. He is currently the chairman and CEO of Insurance Brokers of Nigeria and IBN. Chief Prosper has a diploma in risk and insurance management, Bachelor of Law, Master's degree in Law, and is a PhD candidate. He's a fellow Nigerian Insurance Brokers, fellow Risk Management Society of Nigeria, and a member of the Insurance Institute of Nigeria. He's also a past president of that great council, the Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, chairman of the disciplinary committee of the council, a lawyer, seasoned negotiator, entrepreneur, startup and transformation motivator. Please welcome with me.
Good morning, moderators, and my honorable commissioner and my relatives in industry and commerce. All the protocols have been given, and I'm so glad to be here. I'll go straight to the point, summarizing what our commissioner has said, because I think he wrote my paper for me. And good news. This country, the Nigerian insurance market, the throughput has been premiums over 400 billion in 2019. We are doing well for a 250 million country. But it's important to understand how the business is structured. The short-term transactions account for majority insurance premiums and brokerage revenues. Private, commercial, and quoted companies, insurance transactions in Nigeria is dominated by less than 20 large commercial corporate brokers. Government-owned institutions and agencies account transactions are managed by over 500 licensed insurance brokers. Small and medium enterprises, as we know, at the engine room of our every economy, which in Nigeria remains uninsured. Entrepreneurs are sometimes coerced by commercial banks in their quest to fund their startups and growth, because one of the things we find is that when you go to the bank, you want to take a loan, you are asked to insure. With a company you may not know, you may have your risk advisors and you're ignoring this process. At the end of the day, your pricing and everything you are thinking or doing about your business is taken over by the commercial banks. Our country, 200 million, over 200 million people. Actually, in the next 3 years, the good news, we're going to be the most populated, densely populated country in the world. Our economy is likely informal and bottom of the pyramid economy. Focus on the low-hanging fruits by Nigerian insurance and brokers. Command mentality for compulsory insurance, motor third party, marine imports, public building, government-owned agencies. Nigerian insurance companies, agency and retail market operations and installation of operations. Mix of insurance contracts, small prints, and a lack of confidence to recover insurance losses from insurance companies. Cash flow underwriting by some Nigerian underwriters. Death of data, research and development, and critical specialist manpower. Non-admitted markets. Nigerian domicile risk must be insured by local insurers. Have limited knowledge of benefits of insurance protection. Direct concerns on consumer protection. Limited insurance distributed channels for the retail market. Social behavioral patterns. Nigerians simply don't insure. Insurance. Not in my portion, by God's grace, inshallah. Ignorance on how cheap some premiums can be. Lack of stringent enforcement of laws supporting patronage. Now, I know the future is bright for us. I believe it is. You know, from 1.11 billion estimate, you know, we can double it 5 times to over 6 billion. Where is this potential of over 6 billion insurance premium? In small and medium enterprises, insurance protection from property, casualty, life, and employee benefits. Short-term insurance of the informal bottom of the pyramid economy. The bottom of the pyramid economy is what makes every economy to grow. Insurance is a business of large numbers. And this country will have the numbers, but these people are totally ignored. In the long term, that is our future. Personal and family life and benefit insurance. The Nigerian generation Z, you know, and the millennials are what I call the digital natives, who are aggressively pursuing this 6 billion insurance premium. The Nigerian commercial banks, who do wide insurance strategies with lenders borrowing and funding obligations, having a massive database of customers, using them in the analytics intensely to ensure that they harness all of insurance opportunities. Nigerian insurance companies are the next. They have aggressive agency and retail marketing operations with increased efforts to change the wrong perception on consumerism. The digital initiatives that are coming up in the industry, the insurance brokers and risk advisors who ensures their clients never walk alone in all their processes. Now, where is the big news for Nigeria? We have in excess of 200 million people, but our generation Z and millennials of our generation Y account for 50% of this population. That is what it is. And if you can't ignore them, they are the key towards the future of this country. The Nigerian breweries, the NNPCs, the Dangotes will not provide you insurance. My relatives in insurance, in the commercial world, you know precisely when it was Dano milk, Pig Milk was there, and how Dano was able to develop and strip down retail issues in sachets. Now, typically, I'm going to deal with this segmentation of the consumer market. From our population issues, we have the digital natives and adapters who effectively account for 50% of our current consumer market. And the forecast, globally and Nigeria especially, is going to be close to 70%. We also have digital competence, those who are been using computers because it's compulsory, it's now 25%, it's going to drop down gradually to 20%. Then digital challenge the much older generation, that 25%, they're going to end up with close to 10% because theoretically they're going to disappear. So I will go to explain what this means, which obviously my brothers and sisters in commercial world fully understand it. The digital natives are people who are born or brought up during the age of digital technology. They expect transactions to be closed on real-time online. They are digitally impatient and are on the nose, help clients to outline risk management strategies and recommendations, which assist and advise on claims processing and recoveries. Without claims, insurance is nothing. There are issues here. We know very well the government remains the highest single spender in the economy, and their entities are large buyers of short-term insurance. They are the low-hanging fruits for insurance and some brokers, but are potential threats. And when they decide to adopt alternative risk management, risk financing strategies, most of those markets may disappear. The banks, through their credit facilities, are generating a lot of insurance considerations in their transactions through loans and credit facilities. The oil sector, like my commissioner said, gives opportunity, not just exports. There are so many downstream activities that are there that even the man who is pumping the oil at the station, the races and the rest, they are fantastically important. Nigeria has actually not accounted for 10% of the potentials derivatives from this oil sector, which is the main force of our economy. The individual retail section and SMEs are the lowest contributors to the insurance premium pool, with a lot of potential to contribute more. While brokers command large commercial markets, including state-owned entities, direct agents remain effective distribution channels for underwriters. The future of insurance broking. Profitability of insurance transactions have shifted from positive writing profits to positive writing down to about 30% customer service. This is changing. The big paradigm shift from 50 years ago, which Obeni Ogulano has mentioned, has converted to core competency, shifted to distribution and control of the customer. The customer is king, as the saying goes. Cost cutting in customer service deliveries, short-term gains but long-term pain. From the above, the focus is again steadily shifting to satisfying the customer. The business model have changed, but slowly migrating from traditional way of doing business to more digital-oriented and innovative way of selling. The venture survivors of the industry will see a paradigm shift from brick-and-mortar way of doing business to more technology-based virtual model. And this era has been accelerated by the advent of ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Recapturing the med flows of business, is very, very important, because as you see in every facet of economy, even when you're buying your mobile phones, for the youngsters, the millennials, the Generation S, they quickly buy insurances for their little things. What is the future again? The future insurance is undoubtedly by technology. One that has rapidly reshaped the way insurance is purchased, claims are settled, as well as eradicating the need for human intervention in all but more complex cases. Insurance is at its heart, series of complex decision-making combined. Technology is uniquely capable for helping businesses achieve these two things: automation, capturing strong data, and of course, the flexibility of purchase. The use of artificial intelligence, the buying public will increasingly become able to use artificial intelligence and the evolution of APIs to explore and exploit the entire insurance value chain from underwriting to claims their own. The China's growth in Nigeria has been mainly from increased business expansions, sales, and marketing. The inorganic growth takes time, and generational successions are sometimes threatened or diminished. Like most Nigerian enterprises, organic growth through mergers and acquisitions is rare. Currently, the number of registered insurance brokers in Nigeria is over 400. The numbers are not enough to maximize sales and distribution of insurance products. It is time for more professional brokers to focus on a specific market and clients to maximize production and distribution of insurance products available in our economy. According to Computer Business Review, insurance consumers will be able to buy insurance, make their claims, and interact with insurance companies in the future through the adoption of new technology such as smartphones, voice interaction, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, optical character recognition, which is very important because the ability of the machine to read documents enable insurance companies to automate many processes, including claims management, to deliver faster and more accurate settlement of claims. Combining OCR and machine learning gives computers a sense of what looks like a plausible accurate insurance claim based on millions of orders, enabling anomalies to be quickly rectified, identified. The insurance industry, like the insurance broking industry, like the insurance underwriting industry, is itself is slow but surely developing industry. Technology will play a huge part in its development. There's still the question whether or not the industry as a whole is over-regulated or under-regulated. But regulation through different architecture of commissions, associations, organizations have a huge part to play in the positive transformation of the economy. Policyholders in the near future will expect more from the insurance providers than just ambiguous arranging policy and payment of claims. Claims adjusting and payment will migrate to a 24-hour turnaround service, which in turn will accelerate healthy competition amongst providers. And all of this will make possible one thing: technology. I thank you very much. I hope I have not spent too much of your time. And I have captured our able Commissioner Ndoye. So the future is technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief Prosper. Thank you for giving to your time. It's nice having you around. You've spoken about the population advantage. Without claims, insurance is nothing. The future of insurance will be technologically shaped. We sincerely appreciate you. We'll go straight next to the next panelist. We will be calling in our lady, MS Adetola Adegbayi. She is a legal practitioner with extensive experience in legal research, corporate legal practice, insurance and financial services. She holds a Bachelor of Law degree of the University of South Wales and a Master of Law degree of the University of Bristol, England, graduating with distinction in jurisprudence. She is an associate of the Chartered Insurance Institute London, Associate Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, and the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, United Kingdom. She holds an advanced management certificate of the Harvard Business School, Boston. She is currently the Executive Director General Insurance at Leadway Insurance Limited. Our great lady, a woman of great knowledge. You have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adewale. Unfortunately, I'm getting a message to say that host disabled participant screen sharing. Can you enable the screen sharing, please?
Please, the back room, enable the screen sharing. Thank you.
As that is being enabled, I'm going to stand on existing protocol, and I'm going to time myself for the 15 minutes that you mentioned to me earlier. Right. Thank you. As I listened to Commissioner for Insurance, I was gladdened by one of the things he said, sandbox, and I saw that a number of participants also referenced that as well. And then I listened to Chief Okwe talk about the future of insurance in terms and also the role for the intermediaries. Essentially, for me, from an insurance underwriter's perspective, I think that within our industry is actually not, I mean, it's not old, it's not new. It's an industry that continues to evolve with life, with society. And in terms of its evolution, it's also been about how human intelligence has developed from being conscious of its environment, from being able to adapt to its environment, from being able to acquire knowledge of the environment and being able to apply that knowledge in benefiting society as society itself develops and as society itself goes from one where it's basically hunter-gatherer, the agrarian slavery period, from the point where slavery was no longer the thing to do, and then to industrialization. Then as we now come from industrialization into creating efficiencies within industrialization. So when we talk about insurance, it has always been a way of also helping society to cope with disappointments within the environment. And the beauty of insurance is that despite how we talk about ourselves as if we're independent of what is going on around us, we are actually that which is going on around us. And what do I mean? From an underwriting perspective, we can't really do anything in terms of providing financial protection without data gathering. We have lots of information that we've not really applied, because sometimes received and commoditized information is much easier to sell. So we tend to offer products that people are familiar with, products that we've had from years back, generic commoditized products. But as society develops and as society begins to adapt data that we use from a raw form to organized to processing it, we seem not to be processing enough. So therefore, it would look as if as insurers we're actually behind. But we are inside rather than behind, if I can use that language. When we then break it down to say that, let's bring it back to Nigeria, are we really inside, or do we also, like the bystander, think that we are behind? If we're able to answer that question sincerely, then we then know how to move forward. And why do I say that? Sometimes we talk above ourselves, we talk above our customers. We talk insurance as a language that is strange, whereas insurance is actually more, is money in another form. People understand money. They understand when they lose money. They understand when they lose things that cost them money. So maybe the language of insurance, and I have always tried to switch this narrative to the fact that insurance is about financial protection. It's really about money. So when you buy an insurance policy, what you're essentially doing is you're buying currency promissory note. You're saying that if I lose this asset, of mine, if I cause accident to another person, if as a result of my action somebody else, suffers, will I have the money to bring myself back? Will I have the money to compensate? Will I have the money to ensure that the societal commonwealth still remains? That is what insurance is about. Now, if I know I do not have that money, then I can buy insurance and use insurance to replace my ability to, for access to that money. So when we begin to talk about insurance, when we advance the language of insurance as a language of finance, rather than as something so esoteric that nobody really understands what it means, then we begin to get the messages across. So the slide I'm showing, sorry, because I'm showing it in PDF, it was a bit difficult to do the PowerPoint part of it, and the PDF is not looking quite right, is that when you trace human society and you begin to see that as we develop insurance, as we pass on information, in the beginning, even as we started to go back, you have, painted information, carved information, scripted information, and then you have digital information as well. All along, somewhere along the line, there is an element of insurance, whether it is by mutuality or people coming together, or people then saying that as society becomes more diffuse, the knowledge of each other becomes less. So therefore, the independent capital provider then steps in and says, you know what, there's no need for mutuality. You can give me a little bit of your money to buy a lot of the money that you need in the future. Should you lose something? Should your business cause harm or injury to another? Should you have an accident within the home? You don't need to dip into your own money or your own savings. You may not even have that savings to be able to correct, to be able to put yourself back to a financial position that you were in before. So we as insurers, that is our role. There's a book that, one of the books I just finished reading, it's very interesting, and I'll recommend it to any insurance underwriter. It's basically, an individual's, a common way of understanding what artificial intelligence is all about. Because again, it's about bringing language to the understanding of the common person, so that the common person can then begin to understand why they need to buy this future money that we as insurers sell. AI is all about our world as insurers. What is insurance? Insurance is basically statistical probability. And that is what AI is as well. It's about using and tweaking knowledge of conditional probability to express judgment in terms of what, for a given circumstance or a given scenario. And these conditional probabilities also work in terms of patterns of correlation. These are insurance languages in a way. But our industry has gone through underwriting from a pure fundamental perspective to marketing commoditized products. So maybe we need to go back to then move forward. And when I say go back, I'm saying that we're within this engine already. We just need to understand and appreciate our role within the engine. And then go back to actually begin to piece together again, what are the fundamentals of underwriting? And the fundamentals of underwriting takes us back to the fundamentals of society. So when we're looking at the earth, and we're looking at the risks that comes with living in this giant globe called the earth, insurance has a role to play in how it impacts us. When we look at the new society, the new cyber society, insurance has a role to play in how it affects us. Now, every society creates its own new thing that insurance responds to. So we as insurers must continue to understand that our role is embedded within society. So we need to change our language. We don't necessarily need society, or rather the economy, to wrap around us. We are the economy, so to speak. We just need people to understand that they can take risks. We need people to understand that they can invest. We need people to understand that they don't need to go back into their savings when something terrible happens. That all they need to do is just pay that little sum of money to buy the money that they need in the future. And I keep emphasizing the use of money. Now, the new society is about, first we went into mutuality of purpose within society. Society became individualistic. The individualistic society is now coming back again digitally in terms of, digital tribes and digital nations. So people connect with each other, but they connect with each other digitally. Has insurance stopped in that process? No, insurance is still relevant from an underwriting perspective. Now, why do I say that? I'm going to use a story that with one of my colleagues. There's an example that we banter around within the insurance industry. It's about, Lemonade, the ability to insure your assets on the go. So I asked one of my colleagues, I said, have we ever tried to go to Lemonade and, see what you can buy see what you can insure on the go? And, she said to me, no. And I said to her, well, let's go to Lemonade together. So we went to Lemonade. What people do not realize is that insurance tradition, underwriting tradition remains. It just becomes better. And why do I say that? You need to, first of all, open a policy. And what I mean is, open that promissory note before you can then say you can insure anything on the go. So we then had to go through a policy setup. And then once you go through the policy setup, if I have not insured my bicycle, for example, and I want to go out on a long ride or something and I want to insure my bicycle, I basically click and add my bicycle to my already established insurance arrangement. So we as insurers as well need to understand that our industry, is not the way we look at other industries. Is not disrupted per se. Our industry is impacted by technology. So when we go into the past, for example, where the means of transportation was by horses, horses became cars. Cars are now being electrified to driverless. Insurance moved along. Initially, people thought by having, cars instead of horses, that, a lot of accidents, some people were a bit skeptical about it. But cars became the standard thing within society. Now, driverless is also going to become standard. Now, businesses, industries will become more and more automated and more efficient. And as industries become more and more automated and more efficient as well, insurers have a role to play. Because first of all, we as underwriters look at risk management from the point of view of the owner of the risk first. If a risk is bad anyway, there is no amount of premium that can correct it. So we become integral to what technology can do within the businesses, within the industries, within trade and services. What are the uses for technology? Now, to cap it, as underwriters, talking the language of money, talking the language of financial protection, not using policy terms and conditions, not using terminologies that people cannot identify with. We also have to realize that shifting technology also brings into it shifting crimes. So we have traditional fraud in insurance, for example. As we evolve with technology, we're going to have smart fraud. Fraud is going to be smarter. Crime is going to develop. It's not going to get rid of crime. It's also going to evolve. We then need to prepare for that as well. So we have things that we need to understand within industry. We also need to understand misleading information in context of virtualization of businesses. And as my timer stops me, I'm going to just cap it by saying that our industry is a very interesting one. And when you begin to understand insurance as money, there isn't anything that we cannot do, and there isn't anything that we cannot underwrite. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, our speaker. There isn't anything we cannot do. There isn't anything we cannot underwrite. Understand the language of insurance as a language of financial protection. Data gathering is very key and needs to be processed. Use insurance as a language of finance. Insurance is the buying of future money. We are the economy. We just need to let people know they can insure and they can invest, building the trust of people in the insurance industry. Thank you so much for this piece. We go straight to the third panelist, and which is the last. I want to encourage everyone that have questions to ask. You talked about the comparison between the past, the present, the future. The claims period is the most important period to a policyholder. You talk about so many new ways of doing loss adjusting jobs in the responsibility in the recent time as a result of the present condition and situation where you talked about focus on data and the future of the loss adjusting. But I think we have a bit of issues with your network, and maybe members can ask questions and we can then ask you to respond to their questions. But on this basis, we want to sincerely thank you, Mr. Reginald, for creating the time to come, also for your good presentation, for impacting us while we go straight into the questions and answer sessions. Thank you very much. And I have very few of them here now. The first question. The first question asks about the GDP contribution of the insurance industry to the economy. This question is directed to the Commissioner for Insurance and is asking, why is insurance not contributing much to the nation's GDP, and how can this be improved? Do we have our Commissioner in the house, sir? This question is directed to the Commissioner. That is the first question. Maybe if the Commissioner is not in the house, I will direct this question to our own Chief Prosper. So please respond to this question. Chief Prosper, you have the floor, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Adewale. Insurance, like Tola mentioned, is the future money. The question of contributing to GDP of our economy is a responsibility and issues about who is insuring, where are the clients, because you can't say that all the commercial organizations in our country, they buy one form of insurance. And one thing that is missing in an environment is my BOP, bottom of the pyramid of our economy. You have 200 million people. 200 million people, a simple form of insurance, it will reverse the trend. What is happening at this situation is that people are more interested in picking the low-hanging fruits in the business. There's only one Dangote in this country, but that Dangote has made its money by selling salt in sachets and not salt in shipload or sugar. Insurance works in the game of large numbers. the more you have them, the more the economy is. We all know that all over the world, the short-term insurances is nothing. They don't put anything to the economy, but is a little bit and pieces where the population understands the need to protect their money, their investments, their liabilities. That is where you see the impact of insurance on GDP. You know, here in our country, as long as we're able to harness the bottom of the pyramid of our economy, you know, I tell you one thing, is going to be within a space of 3 years. If you talk to your mechanic, your welder, they have owned their properties before you went to the bank. Before you went to the bank to seek a mortgage loan for your status. Your welder has a house in Ota, in Katangura, and all that. So I think you cannot redefine insurance and you cannot define economy. Tola mentioned it. Insurance the future of money. And I believe that as soon as the paradigm shift happens, and I did say that in my presentation, that these millennials and Generation Z account for 50% of Nigeria tomorrow, which means that these guys who you think are not important, they are the future of our economy. Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa, biggest in population. So I believe the time is now, and the lessons we have learned is that going back to the basis of insurance, get the fruits of the low-hanging ones.
Thank you so much, sir. We sincerely appreciate you. This next question is to Adetola. What can the government do to aid further insurance penetration and enforcement of the compulsory insurance? This goes to MS Adetola. What can the government do to aid further insurance penetration and enforcement of the compulsory insurance? Thank you. Adetola, you have the floor.
Government is really about creating an enabling environment, as mentioned by the Honorable Darlington earlier as well. The government is actually one of the largest buyer of insurances. And what do I mean by that? When you look at the parastatals and when you look at the oil industry, Government of Nigeria today is a JV partner for any oil venture within Nigeria. So if you look at the premium from a government perspective, you know that government buys more insurance than anyone else. Now, beyond that is the enabling environment. And what is the enabling environment? Is that we keep, sometimes when we talk as if government is some individual somewhere that is just going to wave a magic wand and things would happen. It's not that. Government is much more. First of all, how do we as insurers, as underwriters, actually take the laws that enable the purchase of compulsory insurances? How do we bring that information, first of all, to the market as well, for people to understand the value? When I spoke earlier, I mentioned commonwealth. Compulsory insurance is actually about protection of the commonwealth of the country. And by commonwealth, I mean that compulsory policies relate more to liabilities. So you have motoring liability, you have occupiers liability, you have builders liability. And we've all seen examples of market fires. We've seen examples of high-rise buildings collapsing during the period of construction. We've seen motoring accidents, maybe a trailer just killing several thousands of people. Now, yes, you can say the institution or the apparatuses of government can go on the road and start checking everybody whether they have a compulsory motor liability policy. Well, we as insurers could do it another way as well. letting people understand that the liability document you're holding is not just a paper for the police to allow you to pass. It is money, and I go back to using that word again. It is money in your pocket for when somebody has an accident as a result of your, bad road use. That person that you have injured, they don't need to come and start begging you, You don't need to put their family livelihoods in danger if you have the right type of insurance policy in place. Yes, government says you must have it because government also knows the impact of not having it on the environment, so to speak. Take, for example, you have you have somebody with a motorbike accident. They go to LUTH. LUTH needs money to actually treat people, to treat victims of accident. LUTH is poorly funded. Now, if people understand that the liability policy that they hold is actually money, there's nothing stopping LUTH using technology from confirming who the insurer of the negligent motor vehicle is, and LUTH invariably taps into that insurance company, collects the money, treats the person, everybody is better off. So how do we, as an industry, using the enabling laws that the government has provided, using the enabling regulatory environments to ensure that we have the right insurance companies in place, how do we begin to tap into that? To begin to tell people that, you know what, this is for the benefit of us all. It is not for police, let me pass. Bad building, again, another example. What is insurance ultimately? It is not about the premium that we earn and put in, we report financially that this is our top line. What is building liability insurance about? It is actually to ensure that the builders themselves also follow the right risk management protocols for the building. Now, when you follow the right risk management protocol, there will be an insurer that will cover you. In fact, be careful of an insurer that wants to cover you without you having the right, building protocol in place. That is also the benefit of insurance. It's commonwealth protection. It is risk management imperatives. So therefore, we should be the ones forcing the builders to say that you need to do X, Y, Z. Now, part of builders' liability is also what is called decennial liability. So you buy a liability policy for 10 years. So if anything happens to that building within 10 years, you can go to the insurance company and say, hey, this has happened. I need to compensate people who have suffered as a result of it. Now, what do you do with that? You provide money to institutions that are also looking after people. You provide money to hospitals. You basically create funding that the economy needs. So for me, it's not about demanding anything from government, because I think government has actually done what government needs to do. It's really now about us trying to ensure that we sell that value. We let people understand that value. And then we start playing a role within society. We are financial providers. We provide financial security. We secure the Commonwealth. We manage risks for people. This is what insurance is all about. And this is what we should be focusing on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that comprehensive answer to the question. My next question goes to, I have a question for the Honorable, and I have one for our father, Olola Ogunlana. It has to do with the youth. The question is, where is the place of the youth in our industry, and how can the youth be encouraged to own it? This question is for the doyen of the insurance industry. Where is the place of the youth in our industry, and how can the youth be further encouraged to own it? The question is, where is the place of youth in our industry, and how can we further encourage the youth to own it? The question also goes to Right Honorable Darlington. We have talked about the future, legislation takes a major role in charting the way forward for any industry in Nigeria and in any country. What is your thought on the role of youth in the Nigerian insurance industry, and how can they be encouraged to own it?
Thank you once again. As it concerns the youth, like you rightly asked, first and foremost, there's two sides to it. One, the enforcer and the recipient. When you talk about this, you talk about you can't respect what you don't know, and you can't enforce what you don't know. I think that has to do with what we said initially about legislating and including the education part of insurance, so that insurance will have the foundation from the base to the topmost. Are you there?
Well, yes, sir. Continue, sir.
Fine. Education will, insurance will enjoy education from the foundation. That is from nursery, primary, secondary, tertiary institutions, so that the awareness, not something the National Orientation Agency or only the insurance industries alone can do. Because when you talk about the youth, you talk about foundation. The youth now grows from youthful to the adulthood. Now, when we start from the education at the primary level, for instance, to tell them what the insurance is all about, how to go about it, how to enforce it, how to respect the insurance laws, and how to imbibe the culture of insurance. And now the person now grows along with it to the secondary, to the tertiary. By the adulthood, by the time he's mature, he can effectively understand what insurance is all about, that insurance is not a burden. Rather, you can leverage on it for you not to make a cash payment. Rather, the elasticity, for tomorrow. Insurance is all about pool of funds, as rightly said by one person that presented it here today. But you can only enjoy it if at all you pay today and enjoy that elasticity for tomorrow in case there is any event. But in Nigeria, most people think that, oh, insurance is all about a burden. You want me to pay, or they now pay something, then whenever the police comes or whatever, they say, oh, I have paid my insurance. No, it's not a burden. It is something that can ease you, that can release you, that can give you that leverage to function when you do not have the immediate cash. Like in other clients, you now say, oh, pay as you go. The insurance will only give you that latitude if you start to understand it from the age you are supposed to understand it. So how do you do that? The law which we want to amend, by the grace of God, will help to create the education and educational aspect of it. It will create some, education platforms that will make people key in professionally into the industry. It will make the youth understand that there is an academy where you can study specifically insurance and understand that insurance should be part of existence and not that is something that is away from existence. And I think with that, when the youth understand the importance of insurance in our existence, that it's something that goes pari passu with existence, it will go a long way by the time any of them grows to understand that it should be part of what the economy needs at all times. So I think that is where the youth should come into it.
I believe our doyen is in the house now. The question is, the theme of this program is insurance today and the future. And like I said earlier, the past determines today. Today determines the future. Sir, what was that motivating strength, that motivating factor that encouraged your generation to plan and build for an insurance of the future, an insurance of your dream? What is that major motivating factor. Thank you, sir.
Are you hearing me now?
We can hear you now, sir. Yes, sir.
Good. As the last speaker said, we need more education. I referred earlier in my speech to the link between yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Our children should be taught right from secondary school. As we used to do in the past, managers will go to school and tell them the importance of insurance within the economy. They will ask questions. At university level, we do the same thing. During their long holidays, we ask them to come and have a taste. And when we launched insurance courses, some of them came in. So it's education all the way. Many people are not aware of what insurance really is. And as Mr. Debai rightly put it, in monetary terms, that perspective, I think, appeals to me a lot. And the Child Insurance Institute and the NCRIB and the NIA should really adopt and adapt their courses to suit that. It's in the insurance education right from secondary school at university level. Even the government also needs to be educated. They must insure all the assets that they have. If they do that, they won't be providing for it for capital expenditure all over again. So the answer is we must educate everybody from the beginning to the top. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that words of encouragement and planning for the future. While you were answering your question, the last question came in for the Commissioner for Insurance. Our Commissioner, sir, the question is, what is the future of insurance in the health sector?
Well, thank you very much. Sorry, I lost the other, lost touch with the other question, but with respect to the health sector, there is adequate provision in the existing law for us to engage the health sector. The first one that is obvious to all is the professional indemnity for health workers. We seem not to have paid attention to this class of business. It's been misconstrued. When you talk about health insurance, majority of the people, they look at national health insurance scheme. It goes beyond that. There are individuals who want to provide much more than what has been provided under the national health insurance scheme. But we are not selling these benefits to the people. It's about awareness. It's about people knowing that it exists and it can be provided for by the insurance sector. And that is part of our responsibility in my presentation. I did mention that we are going to be doing a lot on public awareness as to what is available in the insurance sector. Ours is not product sale, but we are selling the industry. We are doing all that we can to do what we call backward integration. Go back, bring them in so that the underwriters can provide the needed benefits, and the regulator, to a large extent, will be also a beneficial owner of the outcome of whatever the insurance sector is able to bring in. Because if the insurance is growing and growing very well, with less issues, of course, what it means is that the regulatory body will have less issue to attend to. The health insurance sector is a growing one. Of course, you know that largely even national health insurance is largely driven by the federal government. The states are yet to key in. A lot of the states are yet to even understand how the health programs are helping in their states. So individuals, companies can leverage these and go into the states, market the health insurance products, and then let them know what benefits it can offer, so that Nigeria can be better for it.
Thank you so much. With this last question, we come to the end of this great session. We can't thank every participant enough. We cannot thank the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the insurance group of that industry, of that chamber enough for this great opportunity. Our chairman, House Committee, we thank you. Our commissioner, we thank you so much. Our doyen, great appreciation. On this basis, I wish to call in the Deputy President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry to give the vote of thanks. While he does this, my name remains Adewale Oluwarotimi Akinrinade, the MD CEO of Stanbic Insurance Brokers and the board member of the great council, Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers. The Deputy President, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, please, your closing remarks and vote of thanks. God bless you all. The DG, can you come up and give the closing remarks and the vote of thanks?
Thank you very much, the Chairman, Insurance Group of LCCI. On behalf of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I'd like to extend our appreciation to all our very distinguished participants for sparing their time to be with us at this webinar. The discussion and interactions have been very rich, and I'd like to assure all participants that all the issues that need to be taken forward as outcomes of this interaction will be taken forward to ensure that we ensure to get the right kind of environment, the right kind of regulation, the right kind of policies that can actually advance the frontiers of insurance industry. So I'd like to express our deepest appreciation to the Commissioner for Insurance, the doyen of the insurance industry, the MD CEOs of insurance companies and insurance broking firms that are here, and all our very esteemed participants. Not forgetting our very erudite moderator and MC. We thank you for actually coordinating and anchoring this event very professionally, very efficiently. So once again, on behalf of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I thank all of you for being part of this event. Thank you very much.
In the absence of any other further, I wish to still call Mr. Gwega Olambiwonu to close the session or designate someone to close the session. God bless all. Apologies again for eating 39 minutes beyond our time. We appreciate you all. Mr. Gwega Olambiwonu, you have the floor.
On the behalf of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we want to thank everybody and specifically our sponsors for this great event, starting from Skip Nigeria Co Limited, Legal Insurance PLC, Alliance, and NEM Insurance. And once again, we thank all our panelists, and over and above that, we thank the Honorable Darlington Nwokocha, who had to step down a major proceeding in the House today to be a part of this gathering. And finally, to our father, the doyen of insurance and chairman of SCAPE, thank you very much, sir, for your time. On the behalf of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry again, thank you all for staying with us till this very end. God bless you all. Thank you.